Welcome back, everybody. If you'll remember, last time we were about to get some piece of information from Seeley, which was so critical and vital to the plot that it propelled us directly into the next act. We had just seen Fifi and Jeeves unfortunately poisoned to death by their own cognac. And we've located everybody except Seeley, who apparently has gotten so spooked by whatever eerie sense that she has tonight that she's decided to stay in her cabin and not come out ever again. At this point, it doesn't matter if you gave Seeley the necklace or not. This is exactly the same dialogue you'll get either way. We can try to get back in further, but she's done with us. Seeley is staying in that cabin for the rest of the evening. Let's remember that, by the way. Let's remember, I'm going to give you a few things just to keep in mind during this chapter, and this is the first one. Seeley is staying in that cabin for sure. Not to foreshadow something that might happen later. This is Chapter 7, Act 7, and I had alluded to a little bit before that this is maybe where the wheels sort of come off of things, and things stop making a ton of sense. Let's briefly stop to pet the dog to comfort ourselves before we confront the horrible truths. To this point in the game, I would say it's still fairly open who the murderer might be. There are a lot of different theories that we can have, and I'm not saying it's going to be 100% settled after this chapter, but I think you might have somewhat of a better idea. So just to review, we know Clarence and Lillian are writing in their room. The Colonel is just kind of hanging out in his room. Rudy is off wandering someplace, and Seeley is in her shack. So, having gotten no new items, nothing new has happened, I think we might be well served to go ahead and see what's going on upstairs. Possibly something has changed since we were propelled into the next act. Honestly, this is just for lack of anything else better to do. We're going to go up and check around. But who knows? Let's go see if anything's going on with Clarence first off. Oh! Something is definitely going on with Clarence. His chair is knocked over, there's blood. Whatever could have happened to the poor man. Keep in mind that this is the second thing to keep in mind, that blood stain is right by the chair. So, whatever happened to him, it evidently caused him or his attacker to lose a fair amount of blood. Now, we don't see anything like a blood trail, but he was at least bleeding heavily. It was interesting, before it always said Fifi would get things, and now it's like, I just don't even worry about it. Which, to be fair, we do have some other things on our mind. Well, we knew that he was writing something before he was attacked, or before whatever happened, so let's see if we can suss out what his final thoughts were. Apparently, he just started a new journal, or maybe bought one just for the trip or something like that, or maybe this was the first time he's really been apprehensive or introspective. Well, he is apprehensive. He's sort of finally noticing that everybody's missing. Didn't seem fit to ask anybody about where anybody else might be, but it's good that he's at least catching on. I guess that makes him the second smartest person in the game after Laura, who, well, I guess is only smart because she's nosy, but anyway, he's got a spine-tingling feeling, which is funny because apparently he was attacked and murdered right after he wrote that. Well, we know that he is in trouble someplace. Let's go check on the Colonel, see if he's in his room or if he has wandered off again to go someplace. Nope, there's the old curmudgeon there. Probably cheerful as usual, I'd imagine. Let's just see how he's doing, see what's going on with him. Yep, happy as usual. Go away, I hate everybody. I am the Colonel. Keep in mind, again, that we found a bloodstain right by where Clarence was, and that the Colonel is where he is now and has been since last act. You can't get to this room by a secret passage, which means Clarence was dragged here and laid on the bed. He's stabbed, and observant people might note that there was a dagger missing from the cabinet in future or in past updates. And yes, that is the pearl-handled dagger. I think we'll look at that later. Let's see if he's got anything important on him. Yeah, I would say that he did die by a stab wound to the chest. That's some good sleuthing. Hey, a pair of matches. We finally have conquered video game scarcity and are able to light the lantern that we have. And that will come into play later in the chapter. Yeah, so we don't really find anything new by looking at him. That's just one of those, satisfy the requirements to get the top score thing. And just to confirm, let's go ahead and look at the dagger and see that, sure enough, it is listed as being pearl-handled, so that is the dagger missing from the weapons cabinet. It found its way into his chest. I'm not sure how... He was sitting at his desk. I'm not sure how the stab got into his chest. Hey, Colonel. How did Clarence get in there? Stop meddling in his affairs. He's dead. He's right in the next room. If you literally turned around... I can just see him standing there, or sitting there, as the murderer dragged him into the next room and just being like, "The two of you, go away! I don't want to talk to either of you. Clarence, get that knife out of your chest. I'm the Colonel." So yeah, we can't tell the Colonel that he's in here. So, I might think that maybe this makes it look like the Colonel is the murderer, because... gosh, there is no way that he didn't notice that. I will say there is an alternative place you can discover Clarence. You can discover him in the bathroom. So, but still, that's dragging him right by the room. Well, now that we have the matches, we're able to finish up the side quest or continue on inside. So I'll let you guys pick and see you after the break. Alright, looks like we have decided to finish up the side quest. This has been something that's been coming for kind of a long time now. We got everything that we needed to really wrap it up several chapters ago. I think 2 or 3 chapters, I guess, ago. At least we had everything that we needed, except we had no way to light the lantern. Laura was unable to find any source of fire or heat or anything like that on the island until Clarence had matches. And we do know that he smoked cigars, so it makes sense that he would have had those. There is one location on the island that we really haven't done anything with yet. We've walked through most of the other places, but there is sort of this enclosed hedge garden that some of you might have seen, or you might remember from being over here, and we haven't much done anything with it. You can sort of see it in the background there. This place is going to leap in importance in these last few chapters. I don't know what's that strange about it. It's a little enclosed hedge garden. There's a fountain in here. 2 vases and a naked statue. Notice the loving detail on the butt there. Just being cruel. I was trying to make Laura drink that nasty water for some reason. I don't even know why. I just wanted her to suffer. Yep, fountain is looking sad. Maybe there's something strange about it that we can see. There's no reason to get your feet wet. Well, you know what, Laura? I'm going to make you walk through a puddle. So there you go. Now they're wet. Hope we're happy. If we look at the base of the statue, we can notice that there is a small square shaft protruding from it. And we can identify from our inventory, we have something which would perfectly, it seems like, fit in that hole. We have a valve that we can put in there, which we got a long time ago. I believe that was from the suit of armor. And so now we can turn the valve handle, and the fountain comes to life, and that's all that we see right away. The description doesn't even change. It still says the fountain is forlorn. However, if we are a little diligent and wonder about that click, we find that we can now push the statue, and voila, it opens up a trap door. Now, this we all could have done flawlessly many, many chapters ago. However, it's important, for reasons that I will go into in the After Hours section, to have a lit lantern before you enter into this trapdoor. So, we're able to finally do that with the matches. It glows brightly. And it will glow forever, I think. I don't think the lantern ever goes out, so you don't have to worry about timing or anything like that. I just chose to Light it right before we went down. Look at that T-Rex skeleton, which is no more than... Gosh, that's no more than like 10 or 12 feet below ground. This place is apparently just an astounding archaeological treasure trove waiting to be mined. Maybe that throws a little more pathos into the fact that Clarence couldn't get his hand on any of this property. And they've told us that it's an underground passage twice, but boy, it sure is dark underground. Thanks, Laura. I'm being too snarky with her. She's doing her best. We can see the obligatory little creepy eyes out of nowhere. I was 100% sure I was about to get murdered the first time I found this when I was a kid. But we found a sealed-off portion of the basement. You can see Jeeves' room over there on the right. And there's some old laundry stuff and something underneath the laundry chute. I wonder what it could be. Well, let's go ahead and walk over. And yep, sure enough, this doesn't make any sense to me. Laura is 10 times more scared of this pile of dead bodies than she ever was of actually finding the murdered body. It's like, this is no new information. Now we just know how they were disposed of. Whoever it was dragged all of the bodies to the laundry chute, which, notice that Clarence is in there too. So apparently, in between the time that we were up there, seeing his body near the Colonel, and walked down here, somebody went into his room, dragged him, and put him in the laundry chute, but I don't know why they wouldn't have done that immediately, because that would have actually been easier to do than move him into Wilbur's bedroom. I don't know. It could be that Clarence was in Wilbur's bedroom for some reason. We don't have to be... No, but the pile of blood was right by his writing desk. I take it back. Nothing makes any sense, and everything is terrible. Boo, I say. Well, we could leave now, but there's this conspicuous plate over here, which we are actually able to insert the crank into that. So this is a secret passage within a secret passage. Turn the crank. I guess I spoiled that it was a secret passage, but, sorry. Well, now we know how the murderer has been disposing of the bodies after moving them to various locations, including in some cases, with Gloria, murdering them inside, moving them outside all the way to the gazebo and making them rest there. They were then dragged back inside and dumped down the laundry chute. So this is a active murderer, I will say. And Laura didn't want to drag the bodies anywhere because they were, too heavy. Of course, Laura is kind of a pansy, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Well, we have this pathway leading up here, and it might not be evident at first what she's doing. She is lifting a slab. Observant people will have guessed where we are already. We are, in fact, inside the Crouton tomb. We have lighting because of the moon shining in the stained glass windows. And we can see a number of sarcophagi, and we can see that there's names above them. Notice, if you will, the CSA stained glass windows. Apparently, the Croutons were fairly heavily into being Confederate. Well, here is Mary Frances Crouton's tomb. We can remember her as being the mother of Sarah. So let's go ahead and tomb rob. Let's go ahead and break them open, because why not? Let's see what's going on in here. So we jimmy it open, and oh my gosh, we broke her skull into a million pieces all over the floor. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mary Frances. To be fair, I'm not sure why your skull would have been propped up against the door. Yeah, there's a skeleton in there, Laura. Good job. I had never tried to close the vault before, I didn't know if you could, but for whatever reason, they actually program. That's a separate animation we don't see other places, so it's a nice little detail. That if you really want to respect the dead after breaking their skulls everywhere, you can close them. So that was Mary Frances. There's nothing in there. And I didn't look to see who this was. I'll come back and get them later. But oh, there's a coffin in there. Well, maybe there's something cool in that coffin. Have respect for the dead. You're prying open their tombs with a crowbar. I don't think this is really the time to be all, oh, I need to respect them or whatever. And in fact, because I actually thought it was funny that we would leave all the tombs open, I'm going to have Laura go back and pry all of them open. It just takes a little bit of time, but I think it's a nice touch and it's worth it, so that when this is all over and the Colonel's out inspecting things, he can see exactly what we did. Kind of an interesting touch, by the way, that if you say open tomb to begin with, it'll say you can't, it's stuck. And if you say open after you've pried it open, she doesn't have a separate open animation, she just pries it open with the crowbar again. That is a little detail not many people would care about, I imagine. It's not really clear what that is. That is a skeleton. I can't quite make out exactly what it is. Good call that there's a skeleton in there, Laura. That is Claude Crouton. Distant relation. It occurred to me that I did not read the nameplate above where the coffin was. So let's go back and go ahead and check that one out and see what's up with it. Thomas S. Crouton is who that is. So I believe that is Sarah's father. Here is Ruby's. Also, she wrote her name on there, apparently. I don't seem to recall her from the records. But let's go ahead and see... Let's go ahead and see what's in hers. Ooh, that looks interesting. Could it be the treasure? Perhaps it's doubloons or Confederate money or something like that? She's not shaking like she was with all the other vaults. I don't know why she would be afraid of what's in a tomb. It's just bones. Maybe she's superstitious or something. And it is full of precious jewels. So I guess maybe ruby is sort of as a play on that then. You know, she there's rubies in the ruby tomb or something. I don't know how they thought Sarah Crouton was going to get that, because we had to pry that open with a crowbar. Anyway. And another nice little touch, you can actually leave this way. You have to unbar the door. Which doesn't make us backtrack all the way through the tunnel and end up in the nymph garden. Not that that would have mattered so much. But that's it, folks. That's the side quest. We have solved the mystery, found what the ghost was looking for. As far as I know, you cannot give the jewels to the ghost or anything. But that's it. That's the side quest, and the most adventure-gamey part of this. So I'll probably just sort of teleport us back. And I'll see you guys either at the end or at the decision point again. Alright, let's go ahead and see what's going on inside the house with this crazy family. Now, Lillian was in here writing last time. Clarence was gone because he was dead, Lillian's gone because she went somewhere. But you know, I wonder if maybe, because she was been agitated lately, she didn't think to lock her suitcase. It's worth a try anyway. And sure enough, she did not lock it, and there is a diary, which is very interesting. Let's go ahead and read that diary. Of course, we don't have it yet, so we've got to get the diary. Now that we've got it, let's see, what does Lillian think? What is in her mind? Don't know why you would be guilty about reading this, Laura. Things are fairly in an emergency state right now. Anyway, there's an ink-stained fingerprint on there. This is basically what we knew that Lillian was thinking. She feels slighted, but what's that thing at the end? Between you and me, diary, capital letter. So apparently she thinks of it as a person. You know they have to go. They have to go, huh? And here's that little plotline fleshed out. They put her in the nut house. She asserts to her diary that she was never crazy, and the passage ends abruptly. Boy, what could she mean by that, Laura? I am not entirely certain. Let's go ahead and take a look at that fingerprint. I'll be posting this up in the thread, by the way. Yep. Sure is a fingerprint. It'll just be interesting to examine that. I'm not sure that even if we find anything cool, it'll be conclusive. Because, you know, again, there might be only a limited number of fingerprints that they have to use. But whatever. Let's see if the Colonel's still around. Yeah, he's still in there, just doing his thing. Does he want to see the diary, which says, all of my relatives have to go because they conspired to put me in the crazy house? No, he does not. I know I'm sort of being facetious at this point by trying to show people things that would incriminate other people or show them that there's something mysterious going on, but really now, that's sort of an important thing, to know that your niece wrote in her diary right before everybody started disappearing, "Dear diary, they've all got to go." Oh well, we've seen other suspicious things tonight and not alerted people about it, so maybe this will end up being nothing. There's maybe other reasons to suspect people, so this isn't conclusive yet. Well, we know that the pearl-handled dagger was taken from the weapons room, and so it's logical to assume that if the murderer had successfully pulled off something coming from here, then they might... Oh, goodness, they certainly have. We can see that glass case, which recently held the Derringer. Laura can't think what we mean by gun case. How about glass? No, she doesn't see that either. Let's look at... Oh, the gun is gone. So we've at least observed that the Derringer has been taken. Apparently Clarence was not whoever that shadow was. Yeah, I'm sure they could, Laura. Thank you. Because that shadow is still traipsing around outside. So, that mystery is still to be solved. There goes Rudy. So, he apparently has decided to start walking around and wandering. Rudy has also caught on to the fact that people are disappearing. But he won't listen to us because nobody will. Rudy, we know so many things now. Here, look at this diary by Lillian. It's okay. We're not going to acknowledge it. Great. Well, whatever. I wonder where he was headed to, Rudy. I wonder if he's going anywhere in particular. Well, it looked like he was headed up, so let's head up that way and see if we can see anything. Well, there he goes. We're just following lockstep behind him, he apparently not paying much attention to it. She's still doing her little hands waving at the side thing, by the way. No amount of stress will pull her from that. Well, there goes Rudy, but I don't know. Let's see if anything's going on inside the chapel. I've got a sudden feeling that maybe we want to be in here. Seeley, I thought you weren't going to leave your cabin, Missy. What are you doing in here? Starting to pray all of a sudden like you didn't notice that I was doing something. I didn't notice that you were doing something else. And try to play innocent with me. What are you doing here? You said you were just going to be in your house. Oh, Seeley, you're just being superstitious. Here, look at this diary, for instance, which is written by... Okay, fine. Too engrossed in praying. You know what? Let's pray with her. Let's pray that there is a good and logical explanation for all of this. Why nobody will listen to us, why Clarence's body ended up being dragged past the Colonel, why Seeley has left her house. What we really need, because honestly all of that could be suspicious. It could be, I'm not sure why I'm going back in here, it could be that the Colonel, this shows that the Colonel is the murderer, because there's no way he wouldn't have seen Clarence being dragged past him. It could be showing us that Seeley is the... You can't pray outside the chapel. It could be showing us that Seeley is the murderer, because she said she was going to be in her hut, and she's gotten sort of strange lately, and now she's praying and says there's evil spirits. It could be showing us that Lillian is the murderer, because, you know, because she had a diary in which she wrote everyone has to go, and because, apparently, she's back in the dollhouse again, this time playing with the dolls, and because behind her there is a chalkboard. On it are marked the number of deaths that there have been so far. 7. So, Lillian's in here talking to dolls. Just wrote in her diary that everybody has to go. I'd say that's pretty bizarre. Yes, that is very strange that there are 7 tally marks on that chalkboard, Laura. I fully agree with you. Can we ask Lillian about the chalkboard? All in unison we say, no, we cannot. She is caught up in a fantasy world. So, Seeley's too busy praying, Rudy is too busy wandering, and the Colonel is too busy being a grump. And Lillian is, so Lillian is too busy playing, Seeley is too busy praying, and Rudy is too busy wandering to listen to us. Well, let's warp back to the decision point. Alright, well, we've done both sections now, so let's go ahead and end up this chapter. We head back into our room, and here is Rudy. He is doing something which is important enough to catapult us into Act 8.